Hello and welcome back. I'm going to show you how to do the Tunisian cross stitch. As you can see on this, you have your vertical lines going up, and then underneath you can see other lines, and that creates a cross effect. So I've got my little piece here which has got some knit stitching here. So if you find your first vertical bar, we're going to be working this in simple stitch, and you just basically cross the stitches. So this is your first bar here, so we're going to ignore that bar and we're going to do a simple stitch into this one. So you just go through the front bar, yarn over, pull through. Now you're going to go back to the skipped bar and just do the same thing, just go through the front of the bar, yarn over, pull through, and there's your first crossed over stitch. So again, we're going to ignore this stitch, and then we're going to do this next one, and then we're going to go back to the slip stitch. So you can kind of see where that one is. Sometimes you might get a bit confused, but if you just work on the principle that you've skipped one, you'll recognise it. So again, ignore this one, mine looks a little bit slanted, so we'll just ignore that, and we go into this one, and then we go back to this one, and you can start to see if we stretch it out, some crosses are forming. So you can keep going, so ignore this one because that's your next one, Tunisian simple stitch into that one, and then go back, and then you can keep going, skipping, going back till you reach the end. If you have one left and no others, just do a simple stitch into it, and then do your edging. Yarn over, pull through one, yarn over, pull through two, and keep going till you get to the end. Like so. Now when you're doing simple stitch, you can put when you're doing cross stitch, you can do the crosses on top. So you would just repeat the same row, skip the first one, simple stitch into that one. We're going to alternate. So because we started the previous row with a skip stitch, we're going to simple stitch this first one. And then we're going to work in between these two crosses with these two stitches. So we're going to skip the second one and go into the next one. And we'll go back to the skipped one and work that the same, and so we end up with a cross here in between two crosses here. So skip, simple stitch in the skipped stitch, skip, simple stitch, go back like so, skip, go back, and then where we did the simple stitch and the end last time, we now have the two bars, so we can do a cross stitch at the end there, and then just work into the end, and then work our way back, one through two, so you have one left on the hook. And then as you can see, you have your cross stitch here, and you'll cross stitch here and it alternates. And the way you can tell you've got it right is if you just pull it back a little bit and don't open stitches, you have the slants going diagonally like that, and that's Tunisian cross stitch.